All right, good evening, everybody. It is January 15th. Welcome to the Dreammakers Monday night Zoom call. We are so excited. We have a very, very special guest tonight joining us. Thrilled to have her. You're going to get to hear a little bit about her. I know that my team, as we were posting this week and sharing that she was going to be with us, they were salivating. I was getting messages, oh my gosh, these topics, I can't wait. I'm going to take so many notes. So pumped. So I'm going to let Monique introduce her in just a second. I just want to make sure that you are aware of a couple of announcements as we are already halfway into our month, our very first month of 2018, our 10th year with Plexus being a company. We are in what we would call, and our theme for this year is Legacy. Our convention is going to be June 7th through the 10th in Orlando, Florida. What a great location to plan maybe not only just a business trip, but maybe a family trip, maybe a girls trip. Really think about, there's so many opportunities and options there to rent a house together. I know Team Tanica, I know that you guys have already secured a place, but to go in together and do something like that, you guys, leaders are born at convention. Leaders make events. Leaders make your business, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
They substantiate it. So
Okay.
You can walk away from convention going, I didn't just pay $35 and sign up for some hooky. Maybe for some of you who are new to this business. Even for those of you who've been around for a while, when you go to convention, you get refilled with belief. You get re-energized. You meet people and you network in a way that brings you home and sustains your business for the second half of the year. So don't miss convention. If you went to Super Saturday, you get a 50% off code, y'all. If you signed up and registered for the rerun of it, you still have access to that 50% off code. Don't lose that if at all possible. I wanted to make sure that if you are talking to your potentials, to remember that those welcome packs this month are $10 and $20 off. Do not miss out on that opportunity to make sure you're sharing that information, even with people that have maybe put you off for a while. Maybe somebody you talked to a year ago. Go back, circle back with them, let them know this is the time of year everyone's willing to look at their health goals and make a change. And a lot of times are more willing to spend their dollars on making those changes than any other time of year. So take advantage of that. Preferred customers are getting free shipping this month if their orders are over 100, and new customers with orders over 100. I want to make sure you all know this. With the code FREESHIP, all caps, will also get free shipping. So make sure that if you're getting new customers, pushing them to that $100 mark might be the difference of them really wanting to go ahead and get maybe on the triplex versus just getting ProBio 5, knowing that they get that free shipping. And then last but not least, if you are on the Dreammaker team page, you know that we showed you our brand new success kit that now all new ambassadors get, which is a great and handy guide to have for your business. It's only $9.95. If you go comment on my live video where I walk you through that, somebody's going to win one of those, and it will be mailed out tomorrow if we're not all trapped by mail. Debbie's like, me. But we'll see. We'll see who wins that prize. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Monique Brown, our Ruby ambassador out of Alberta, and here you go.
Well, I am so excited that Ranchelle is doing the call for us tonight. She didn't even tell me that she was doing it. So it was a huge surprise. Ranchelle has been one of my best friends since grade 9. She has the most dynamic personality, so we are really in for a huge treat tonight. She just sent me her bio. I'm just reading now, and it's overwhelming. So here it is. She is the founder of Stiletto Enterprise, Inc. and the Stand Up, Stand Out brand. Her business background includes a business consulting agency that quickly became a full-service sales and marketing agency. From 2000 to 2010, she owned 8 Curves for women fitness centers. Ranchelle opened a new Curves every 6 months and then had to make the decision to expand even more outside of her area or keep what she had and focus not on growth but on nurturing. It was here that she learned about the value of systems and the impact they have not only on the business its clients, but on the business owner. Her passion of sales and marketing became apparent while she was a Curves owner. She developed the profit formula and redefined what marketing meant in order for her to achieve the success and lifestyle she desired. Her thirst for knowledge led her to understanding the psychology of sales and marketing and why people buy. Ranchelle's desire to prevent entrepreneurial burnout has led her to founding Stiletto Enterprises, where she has blended her passions together, building a strong and healthy business along with building a strong and healthy body. Less than 2% of women in business make over $1 million in sales annually, yet over 80% of new business owners are women. So women in business have a different set of challenges than men, and the myth of multitasking, doing it yourself, not charging enough for products and services are just a few of the unique challenges women face in business. And Ranchelle's desire is to change the way women look at their health and their business so that they prevent the agony of burnout and can create the lifestyle that ignited their passion to have their own business. So welcome, Ranchelle.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! So I don't know Philip. I've seen Philip. I don't know Philip very well. And I saw him waving. I thought, oh, he's waving at me. And I looked and I go, no, he's waving at, I think, Shari's son.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Corey. We've known Corey since he was like,
A
this
peanut
big,
inside a belly. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I was making faces at Corey. I can't help it. So, more Corey, hashtag more Corey. But back to you, please.
No, I love it. It was awesome. I was like, oh, that is so very, very cool. So, okay. Well, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with all of you. I'm always one to try to leave a lot of room at the end to answer questions, because it's really, I mean, I can whip through a presentation in 5 minutes. I can whip through something and do it in 5 hours. I understand I have 30 to 45 minutes. So I'd like to be done at 30 minutes and leave time for questions if this happens to be questions. So if that's okay with you guys.
Perfect.
I made myself a little bit of a presentation so that I could stay on task and keep the stories to a minimum. As I said, I've done this presentation for over 5 hours. So I wanted to keep it very, very succinct. And the title of it is The Simple Steps to Sustainable Success and How to Transform Your Passion into a Lucrative Business. And I think that's so important because a lot of people, and at least in my experience when getting involved in a direct sales company, it's because you're passionate about the product or you're passionate about the people around you. And that can take you to a certain point. And then at some point in time, there's this decision that happens within us where we're going to just keep it a hobby, as I do air quotes here, or we decide that we want to make it a viable business in the sense of we want it to do more than just extra cash flow, but we want it to possibly be the main focus of our business. And so whether or not you're at a place in your world where you're doing it for product or you're doing it to make up extra cash or doing it to be around people that you know, like, and trust and like to spend time with people, I think what I'm speaking to will still apply to you regardless of where you're at in your business. And so it's more universal principles I want to talk about. If I speak too fast, which is a possibility, Jen or Philip, I want you to just do this for me. And that to me means I need to slow down. Okay. So the 3 things I really want to cover today is the simple mindset shift needed to turn your passion into profits. The biggest mistake that every entrepreneur makes at least once. I'm going to talk about that. And then what I believe is the missing link to lucrative sales. So the mindset shift that would be beneficial to all of you to make if you have not made it is to understand a couple of different things. A, to realize that you're actually not selling to anyone. I don't know of very many people other than myself and a handful of people that I've worked with that absolutely positively love sales. They get up in the morning and they think, I can't wait to sell something to somebody. Yeah, right? I have this yellow widget and I know of 10 people who need a yellow widget, so I'm going to go in and do that. Most people come to, especially in a direct sales environment, come to, well, I don't want to be pushy and I don't like to be sold to and I don't want them to be mad at me and I don't want this and I don't want that. So even in that, when I'm talking, you can see what even happens to my body language, right? When I say, if you love sales and you like to go out and sell the yellow widget, you'll notice that my shoulders were back, right? There was vibrancy to what I was saying. And when I said, well, I don't really want to sell anything, your body language changes. And so I want you to know that if you're in a place in your head where you think, I don't want to sell anything, I'm not comfortable selling, I'm not a salesperson, I'm not this, I'm not that, your body language will actually mirror that. And in communication, I'm sure most of you know that 76% of your communication is actually nonverbal communication. It's the way that you stand, it's how you present, it's how your shoulders are, it's the tone of your voice, the confidence that comes out of that. So understand this for sure. You're not, although you're in sales, sorry everyone who didn't realize they were in sales, you are in sales. So that's probably the big myth buster right there. Surprise and welcome, you're in sales. However, you're actually, if you switch your mindset to you're not selling anything, but you're providing a service. Most of us don't like to be sold to. I mean, I'm a salesperson and I can appreciate when I'm in the middle of a sales process. I don't like to be felt like I'm sold to. And I think all of us are in that space, which is why we come with that discomfort of I don't want to look like a salesperson. However, everyone likes to buy. There's not one person probably on here who hasn't spent money on something that they either wanted and needed, possibly wanted and did not need. Who needs 2 Coach bags or 10 pairs of black shoes? I don't know. I have like really 5 pairs of black shoes. If I didn't like to buy, I would have bought 1 pair of black shoes. I'm sure the people in my house who have to share closet space with me wish 1 pair of black shoes, but that's not what happens. So the simple mindset shift that I'm talking about is this, and some of these, if not most of these questions, are going to be rhetorical. So first of all, do you believe in Plexus? So I'm assuming anyone on this call or anyone listening to this call believes in Plexus. The second question is, do you believe in the products? Again, for most people who, if they didn't believe in the products, they wouldn't be part of the company. And the third piece that I want to ask you is, if you had the cure for cancer, would you be afraid to talk to everyone and anyone? Would you feel like you were selling? And that to me was the biggest mindset shift when I did that. When I was I was a trainer for a direct sales company, and I talked to everybody about the product. I believed in the product. It was a bioidentical hormone cream for women who were having hot flashes. So I mean, anytime I saw somebody with a fan standing in line, at Walmart, that was an opportunity for me to chat about what was going on. Because no one, unless any of you've had hot flashes, it's just not a lot of fun, right? So if you had the cure for cancer, you wouldn't feel like you were selling anything, but you would probably talk to everybody and let them know that you had the cure for cancer. So why do you feel like you're selling when it comes to Plexus? So, and that's a rhetorical question, but I really want you to think about that and discuss that with your upline. Why do you feel like you're selling something? Because what if you decided to, here's the mindset shift, serve and not sell? What if you just shared with everyone why you're focused on your health? Or what if you shared the health successes of the people around you? So if you don't have that particular health success, you can share the story of someone else. Another mindset shift is, what if when someone asked you what you did for a living, you actually didn't talk about what you did if you weren't doing this full time, what you did during the day, but you talked about this instead. So if you were a nurse, or you worked as an optometrist, or you worked in an optometry office, or you worked, fill in the blank if you worked, and you didn't actually, when someone said, well, what do you do? What if you switched it to what you're passionate about, what you possibly might want to do full-time to create a full-time income, versus what you're doing as a job? Even if you're passionate about your job, think about it from that perspective of, if you have a job, and I'm going to use an example of the hotel industry. My parents own a hotel. And let's say I worked at the hotel and someone asked me what I did, and I happened to be a manager of the hotel, or something, or worked at the front desk, and someone asked me what I did. I have the option of giving them either, what I do with Plexus or what I'm doing at the hotel. I think sometimes we say what we're doing at the day job because people know what that is, and we're not attached to it. It has nothing to do with us, so it's safe. So we spend more time in the safety zone than we do in the uncomfortable zone. And so one of the asides is, your next step to your next income level that you desire in Plexus depends on your ability and desire to be in an uncomfortable space. If you're not willing to be uncomfortable, then you will stay where you're at, which is not a bad thing. Monique didn't tell you I'm a straight shooter. I just kind of say it as it is. So the reality is, if you want to build your business further, you're going to have to be in an uncomfortable zone. And when you get comfortable where you're at there, then you need to make the decision to be uncomfortable again. Because with uncomfortableness is growth, whether it be personal growth, personal development growth, sales growth, or whatever that happens to be. Growth needs to happen. So if you're uncomfortable with selling, ask yourself why. What past history do you have that's preventing you from moving forward? And perhaps maybe you had a bad experience with a car salesperson, but you're not selling cars. And really, if we move out of that selling, although I love to sell, moving out of that selling space, what you're doing is you have an amazing product line, an amazing company, an amazing team. Why would you not talk about it? Why would you not share what that looks like? And that comes with being uncomfortable. It comes with practice. So thinking about the next piece in the mindset shift is, what are you most afraid of and why? So what experience did you have in the past that goes, oh my goodness, I so don't want to look like, and then fill in the blank of that person? Because everyone's met somebody who you meet at some sort of function, and you go to shake their hand, and what they put in your hand is a business card, and they don't have conversation. They try to sell you something. All of us have had that experience, but I bet none of us are actually that person. So you're not ever going to be that person. You can't be that person because you don't even think like that. So the next piece is to figure out what you're most afraid of and why. So what's the worst thing that could possibly happen if you're passionate about your product and your company and you shared that with the world? What is the worst thing that they're going to do? They're going to make up some sort of story? But your interpretation of what happens is what I call the bullshit storyline you're telling yourself. That your worst case scenario probably is the worst case scenario, and more than likely will never happen. A long time ago when I was with People's Way, which was the direct sales company that I was with, and one of a few that I have been with. I haven't been with many, but there was a company out there, and it almost like a swear word, which was Amway. I'm sure that some of you, if not all of you, have heard of Amway. And there was this big concern about, well, I don't want to sound like an Amway. And I said, well, there's no way, we're not Amway, so we're not going to sound like Amway. We have a completely different setup. We have different products, different passion. And so if you keep it all mysterious and you're taking someone to a meeting, then I suppose then you would be. However, my experience with Plexus is that's not what's shared, right? That's not the approach that's taken. So because you own the storyline of what's preventing you, you can actually change that storyline to something else. You can prepare yourself to, what's the worst case scenario that's going to happen is, the worst thing that's going to happen is every time you talk about your passion and how excited you are to be on this, and then you fill in the blank, that piece of whatever you're excited about. The worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to say yes, and more people are going to say yes to buying the product and joining your team. And that would be really awful, right? So, okay. So it's just kind of to recap, the mindset shift is to remember you're serving, not selling. And more than likely, you could never be that hardcore salesperson. I have a better chance of being the hardcore salesperson because I love selling. And I can overcome objections, and I get into what my family refers to as sales mode, right? I'm comfortable overcoming objections, so it can come through conversation, but I can get to that space of, I really want you to do this. I'm really passionate about it. Most of you probably don't have that same background or same scenario. There'll be a few of us, right? So we might have to be concerned about that, but for the most part, the rest of you won't. So you're serving, not selling. What's the one thing what's the story that you're most afraid of, and change that. And really spend time within your head, within your mindset. If you journal or you meditate and think about what your life would look like if you just shared what you were doing with everybody. And when people asked you what you did for a living, you didn't talk about your job, and you talked about this. So a couple of mindset pieces. The next piece is the mistake that every entrepreneur makes at least once. And there's actually a few, so I probably should put the mistakes, the mistakes that every entrepreneur makes at least once. And what I'm going to share with you is not rocket science. It's probably things that you've heard before. I'm just going to share, I guess, the top 4 that I've seen in any business that I've ever been involved with or have done business consulting with. So the first one is time management and spending time on non-producing income tasks. So there are things that we love to do that may not be income producing tasks. There'll be things that we dislike doing but are producing income tasks. So for example, you might not be comfortable sharing about the product, but that's a pretty big income producing task. With practice and following the system, doing it over and over again, eventually, right at the back end is some product. A non-producing income, non-producing task could be spending time on Facebook and going through your timeline to see what everyone else is doing, and not then reaching out to make it an income producing task. So social media is fantastic, and I'm grateful for it from a business perspective. Social media also can be a huge time sucker. Same with checking your emails. Your emails are necessary so you can respond. However, if you're checking every 15 or 20 minutes and you're on someone else's schedule, you're not on your schedule. So I always recommend to business owners, check your email twice a day. If things in your life are so urgent that you need to respond more than that, then check them 3 times a day. Take control of that time piece, because otherwise you're on the schedule of everyone else. It's even phone calls, and you can actually not answer a phone call. Crazy as that sounds, if you're doing something that's an income producing task, right? The phone call, yes, absolutely. It'll also could be income producing, but it might just be your mom, or your sister or your friend or your daughter or your son just checking in to ask you, where the nuts are. True story. Right? And then you get distracted, you get into conversation, and then pretty soon a 2-minute call, has anyone ever had that where, someone, I just need you for 2 minutes, and then 10 minutes later you're hanging up. So that's not taking control of your time. So that's one of a very large topic, is just one thing to be really aware of. The next mistake that I see every entrepreneur make at least once is not preparing yourself for the year, for the quarter, for the month, for the week, for the day, or reversely, for the day, for the week, for the month, for the quarter, for the year. So what do I mean by preparing? So of course, I'm a huge goal setter. I'll share a story with you about that. And if you don't prepare, you don't have the materials that you need. You don't set a goal of how many people you want to talk to a day, or how many new business people you want in your line a day or a week or a month. I mean, I don't think there's ever like a right answer to this. I think it's really with what's within yourself and what numbers that you like to float. So when I had the curves, I actually have 2 stories. When I had the curves, we tracked everything. We tracked all the phone calls that came in. We tracked the people who booked an appointment. When they came in for their appointment, we tracked our sales closing rate. We tracked our cancellation, like our attrition rate. When we tracked numbers that meant something. So in sharing what you're doing, this actually, part of this can be a numbers game. And I'm sure you've heard that before, where if you don't talk to anybody for weeks, then chances are you're not going to have anybody join your business, whether it be product or business, for weeks. But if you set time to go, okay, I'm going to spend 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and I'm going to make sure that I talk about what I do, who I am, my brand for that hour, then great, then you do that. Now you can further that, time management piece and prepping piece to decide where you're going to spend your time, because you want it to be lucrative, you want it to be fruitful. And it's not just about sales, but it's about the connections and the relationships, because without the connections and the relationships, and let's be real, there's no sales after that, right? But if you never prepare yourself, if you don't think about what you want, so whether it be the level, like do you want to be a silver, a ruby, if that works for you, then set that as a goal. And if you're not sure what that looks like or what you need for that, I know that you have an incredible team around you that will help you with that. But not preparing yourself for the day, not leaving your house prepared with business cards or samples or however you want to promote your business. You should always, 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 always be prepared. Even if you're going to the gym, if you're going down the corner and you're picking up milk and butter, you should still be prepared, because you never know when you're going to run into somebody who's interested in hearing what you have to share. I have this really cute story, and I think one of the things that we forget about in setting goals is the most important piece, which I will get to. The story. I'll be quick. When I was in my mid-40s, I was talking to my children, who at the time were 15 and 13, I think they were. And we were talking about goal setting. And their dad doesn't set goals, and I'm a huge goal setter. And my daughter asked me at that time, was there anything ever that I had wanted to do that I didn't do? And I said, no, I'm pretty lucky. When I decide to do something, I do it. And so she asked me about that. Well, how do you go about setting goals? And so we had this like mini, goal setting piece. And I said to her, you can do whatever you want to. I mean, you can set a goal, but you have to set the goal. The key, though, is to adjust your behavior. So when you're setting goals and you're moving towards the goal, you need to check in, right? You need to check in to see where you're at. And so you can check in daily, weekly, monthly. I wouldn't suggest just checking in quarterly, because by then so much happens, but I would suggest checking in every couple of days, or at least once a week. And you check in to see if you're moving towards your goal. Here's the key. If you're not moving towards your goal, then you're moving away from your goal. It's simple. You have a goal, you do daily things, daily actions, steps to move towards your goal. If you're not moving towards your goal, then literally you're moving away from your goal. Now, this is the time to do a couple of different things. Sometimes we have to adjust the goal. Sometimes the goal wasn't realistic, or we thought we had more time in our hands than we do. So you adjust the goal. More than likely, what you need to do is adjust your behavior. Any goal can be met if we adjust the behavior. The key is, though, and this is where I talked to my kids about it, was if you are moving towards something and it ends up not being what you thought, it's okay. It's okay to adjust the goal. And especially if you're adjusting your behavior and you're still not achieving your goal. It doesn't mean that it wasn't a good goal. It just means that some sort of adjustment has to happen. The key is to check in within yourself, check in to see your numbers, check into, did you talk to enough people? Okay, you didn't talk to enough people. Then, can you talk to more people that next week? Or, do you need to adjust what you're doing? So that's the second piece. The third piece is not niche targeting your audience. Now, this can cause a little bit of gasping of air sometimes with companies, and shaking of the head. So I'm still going to share it. Although we believe that everyone is our audience, not everyone actually is our audience. And so if you are, I call it the pray and spray. If you are just going out and just, walking up to a random stranger and talking about what you do, well, then that's the pray and spray, praying that they're going to listen to what you say because you sprayed enough information out there. But you can look for key things in people's behavior on their Facebook, in their vehicle. I mean, even if you're talking to strangers, you can watch out for your key things. For example, I had said when I was promoting a product that was a natural bioidentical hormone cream, and I had women fanning themselves because they're having hot flashes. It was being an awareness, and so being able to talk to them. So if you're really passionate about another part of your life, so I'm going to use myself as an example. Fitness has always been something I've been very passionate about. So I tend to look for people who are like-minded in the fitness industry. So versus going out and spraying the whole entire neighborhood. So I just want you to think about it when you think about things that you're passionate about, hobbies that you have, to maybe really focus on that group first that you're really comfortable with, because it's easy to have conversation with someone who is like-minded, right? The next mistake that I see people making is assuming everyone is just like you. So someone will say, I hate being sold to, so I would never do that. I would never want anyone to do that to me. The fact of the matter is you're you, and you're unique. And your storyline that you have about what you like and what you don't like is your own. So don't project that on anyone else. Own your own stuff for sure, but don't project your belief system on somebody else. Some of us really like to be talked to as a stranger in the grocery store, right? Some people would never do that. I mean, I do it all the time because I like having conversations with people, right? So that would be like me saying, oh my goodness, everyone likes to strike up conversation in the line at Safeway. No, that's not true. Everyone does not like to strike up conversation in a line at Safeway. So, so it's just making those assumptions. That makes sense so far, Jen and Philip? Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I kind of want to breeze through this because I really want to talk about the missing link to successful sales. And this often takes more time than the other pieces. And so I've left myself a bit more time. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to explain the profit formula to you. And I learned the profit formula when I had the Curves franchises. And it is not mine. It is rightfully owned, and he doesn't call it the profit formula, but it's rightfully owned by a gentleman who is a business consultant named Jay Levinson. Levinson, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. And he, I was listening to a CD in the vehicle one day, and he talked about that there were really only 4 ways to make more money. So the first way, of course, is to increase your margins. And so from our perspective, we don't really have control over our margins. So I wanted to share that with you, but we're going to kind of toss that outside. The second one is to attract more clients. The third one is to increase your average invoice or your average sale. And the fourth one is to increase the annual spend or the lifetime value of the client, depending on the business that you're in. So in the real world, what we're talking about is, so again, attracting more business people, so attracting more sales, increasing your average invoice, and then increasing the lifetime value or the annuals. When I heard this, I had the Curves franchises. We had 8 franchises. And so I knew that I couldn't really increase the average sale because it was fixed prices, right? And we didn't have anything extra to sell, right? We just had memberships. All my prices were set by head office, and all we had were memberships. So the only way that I could really affect my business was to attract more clients or to have my clients stay longer. So I did some quick math, and at that time I had 8,000 members, and they were paying $49 a month. For those of you who have a calculator, I'm gonna give you some math, and we can talk about this. So I had 8,000 members who were paying $49 a month. And so I thought, what if, and this is my favorite game, what if every single member stayed an extra 6 months? What would that mean to my bottom line? And so I quickly, so if you do 8,000 members times 49, that's how much money I made a month. And then if you multiply that by, every single one of them stayed an extra 6 months. For those of you who are doing the math, your probably jaw is dropping right now, because it's over $2 million more in sales. When I realized that, it literally was just ding, 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 ding for me, because what I realized was that my profits came from, yes, attracting new clients, but my profits also came from having people stay longer in the business, longer as a member at Curves. So everything that I did was to either attract new, or it was to have them stay longer. Now, the benefit of this business is there's 3 ways. You can increase the average sale, right? You can take control of that sales process. When people make a recommendation, you can say to them, as you do, right? Well, people do the triplex, but this is how I started, and maybe you add another product and see what happens, right? So there's that piece. The psychology by attracting new and the psychology of why people stay is different. And so as you're developing your brand, your business, just remember that the reason why someone joins Plexus is not the reason why they stay. And so that, there is lots of follow-up in ensuring that people stay on product. I'm going to give a huge shout out to and kudos to Monique. Monique, you're absolutely fantastic at making sure that I stay on the product. And when I'm not, she calls me. And she finds out what's going on in my world, that I don't have product, that I haven't done the product. She's bless her heart, she's tried to get me on auto ship. I just said to her this month I would be able to go on auto ship. But she is consistent in her approach, and it's things like that. It's the consistency that makes a difference, right? And she's always top of mind with me, between the posts that she's doing, right? Because we're connected between the random texts that she'll send me to see how I'm doing, the follow-up that she does that. And I do believe that she's not just doing that because we're friends, right? She actually has a huge interest in my health and ensuring that I stay in the clinic. So that psychology piece of why I stay is different. Don't make the assumption that because someone hasn't done an ordership or someone's canceled, that they're done. And there's a lot of reasons why people do that. And if you don't know why, if you don't do that follow-up, that will really affect your bottom line. Now, I know some of you go, oh my goodness, but that's a lot of people. Well, yeah, you're right, it is. And welcome to business. Follow-up is key, right? It really is. And so that might mean that you might have to get up half an hour earlier every day and send texts or emails or however you connect with your people. And you might need to do an extra half hour if you have young kids and when you go to bed, or when your kids are doing, you're creative, you'll be able to figure it out. But there are ways around it. This is a part of that mindset piece, that mindset shift, because you know what goals you are moving towards. So part of your adjusted behavior might be, oh, I'm going to have to get up an hour or half an hour earlier now to do this. Right? So I wanted to share the profit formula with you because that's such an important piece in any business that I work with. I share that with them because you can at any time look at what am I doing to attract more new clients? What am I doing to connect with my existing clients? And what sales process am I using to increase my average sale, right? Remember, if most people aren't you, if you started out with the triplex with the base 3 products because that's what you were comfortable with, that doesn't mean that everyone's comfortable with that. What if you suggested to people that they started with 4 products and let them decide that no, they only wanted to start with 3 because of budget or because they wanted to try out the products? But if you come in with that mindset, like, well, no one's going to do all that, well, then you're right. No one's going to do that. So I would start experimenting with, what other products you could pair with that. How can you increase your average sale just a little bit? And then when you have that system in place, then share that with your team. Well, this is what I've done to do that. So follow-up, of course, is key. Now, the second piece, which I know is probably going to make some of you, if not all of you, kind of shake your head at me, and that's okay because that's why I'm here, is to ask for referrals. And so I believe that all of you are as passionate as when I've met, Jennifer now too, and Jennifer and Monique, because you're on the call, right? So those people who are passionate about their health and wellness and passionate about people and passionate about their business are on here. And so, again, I go back to, and whether it be diabetes or some sort of disease that we face on an everyday, if you had that cure, would you not ask for referrals? Would you not say, do you know of anybody else who is facing these health challenges of, list a few that we know or that are just in general, and then ask for their names and phone numbers. And you might only get 1 out of 10. However, that 1 out of 10 will be huge. Now, you certainly will get more referrals if you do follow-up, right? And you're finding out, their experience with the products. And you don't have to be an expert in the products to do a follow-up. I used to tell my team all the time, you don't have to know all the things the doctor knows about the product. That would be crazy. But what people want to know is that you care, that you've shared your passion with them. They've bought product from you. And if you just follow up and say, hey, Ranchelle, I just want to make sure that, that everything was going well and that you were consistently using the product. Because we all know how many people have bought product and then they forget to take it. That's the habit we have to get into. So it's just that it's that connection piece. It's that building that relationship piece. And, and then decide, when you're most comfortable asking for referrals. I always asked at that time when I sign people up. I very rarely, like I said, I think maybe 1 out of 10. However, when I did my follow-up calls, the second month and the third month, every time I did those calls, I was like, so who else do you know, that is experiencing some sort of health challenge and might benefit from learning more about our product? So, and then I would get more and more and more names. I learned a neat tip. I was in Toronto at some training this week, and I learned a really neat tip. And they said, when you ask that question, more than likely you'll get, well, I'm not really sure. And so then you then you start to engage a little bit more in conversation and say, oh, geez, Jennifer, I love your hat. Where did you get your hat? Or I like your watch. Where did you get your watch? Do you think they would be interested in, right, the product? So there's ways that you can increase your word of mouth, because word of mouth is huge, by being really, really specific. Now, for most of you, that might put you out of your comfort zone, and that's okay. It's okay to be out of your comfort zone, because with out of your comfort zone is growth. And I would recommend that you practice together. I mean, role play. I know that sounds crazy. However, the best thing about doing stuff like that is that you have a feel of what that sounds like and what that looks like. And you can be with someone that's safe, and you can laugh and be uncomfortable, right? Because there's so much more that can happen. And so that really, I think, is a missing piece that a lot of people in the direct sales business forget to ask people. You're relying on people to send people your way. And although it's true, right, when we find, I mean, my goodness, when we go to a restaurant that we love, or we find a new cafe that we love, we tell everybody about it, certainly. And especially when we do new things, we tell people about it. So yes, that's going to happen, but there's more consistency when you can take, control of the situation by asking people, right? Again, you might only get if you got 2 new customers a month that way, what would that mean to your bottom line, right? What if you had 24 new customers every single year because you asked a question? So, all right. So, as I said, there's a sales way to do it and the non-sales way to do it. And so I would say something like this. Now, you'll have to make sure that this complies with your rules and regulations, because I'm not as familiar with those. But I would say something like, I'm going to refer to Ranchelle as my customer client. So Ranchelle, you may not know this, but I'm on a mission to ensure that everyone knows the importance of gut health. So many people have no clue that gut health is related to. I would insert a few key pieces there. So who do you know that suffers from? Insert that piece there. I would love to connect with them and share some of the information with them, just like I did with you. And because when people ask you questions and you present that way and you get them on the product, they're not going to feel sold to. And so what will end up happening is they might say something like, my goodness, well, you know what, my sister has the same issues that I do. We thought it was hereditary. Or my niece has this, or can you help with that? And then you can go into the caveat of, well, we're not doctors and we can't, we can't do this, and but you can get the name and phone number and you can call. So I hope that makes some sense. Sometimes if you need to probe a little bit, you can say, well, who do you know that would like, to earn free product? That's more of a sales way of doing it, but certainly you can say, Ranchelle, who do you know that would like to earn free product? Who do you know that would like to earn a bit of extra income? And certainly that, when you're doing that with regards to, let me back up a little bit here. When I use the who do you know that would like to earn their free product, or who do you know that wants to earn extra income, I would do that after someone had been on the product for 3 months. It was like after the 3rd month, but the 4th or 5th month, I would do my check-in with people and then ask them if they knew of someone who wanted to earn extra income or wanted to earn free product. For me, what happened was most people said, well, I do. Oh, well, I'd like to earn free product myself, or I'd like to earn extra income. And then this is when you start building your team, right? This is when people start looking at this as a side business, as an opportunity to earn extra income. So referrals can come from both ends, right? Product referrals and then business referrals. Sorry about that. I missed that little intro about why I was going that way. We're still good for time, yes?
We need to
we have probably just a couple minutes, and then we want to leave a little bit of time for people if they have questions, but all of the information has been amazing.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to just touch briefly on one thing, and then I will give everybody my phone number, and you can, because this little piece, I'm going to touch on it, and it could be like a whole other hour presentation. And it's just about overcoming objections. So in general, there are objections in any sales process. And we as a society have been told pretty much universally that we shouldn't talk about sex, politics, religion, or money with people. And so when we're overcoming objections, the objections we always seem to get in businesses in general is, I need to think about it. I don't have the money. I need to talk to my insert right spouse, husband, partner, or I'm not sure if these will work. And so what I want to share with you is that your objections, there are simple non-sales ways to overcome objections. And I would be happy to, at any point in time, connect with anyone on the team here. If your difficulty in the process is overcoming objections, I certainly can run you through some of the how to do that in practice. You know, Jennifer, I know that you would be able to do that as well, but I'm just going to extend that extra service out to everybody just as a gift for you. You guys are so awesome. Universally, when you're overcoming objections, you want to do what I call it conversational. So you want to acknowledge what they say and repeat and respond. And so, again, this could be a whole other hour presentation. Since we're short of time, I'll just leave it at that. I won't get into it because then we'll be way over time, and I'll leave room for questions.
Awesome. Just everybody take a breath, because there was so many great little nuggets, I'm sure. Like me, I think I wrote 4 pages of notes. Thank you, Ranchelle. I know Phil's like, he wrote something down.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Yeah, no, I had a nice little download there. I love the piece about referrals. So we have similar backgrounds in terms of sales and
similar personalities.
Unabashedly proud of it. I think it's a noble profession. And so I've learned to ask for referrals from day one of sales. And I asked for referrals from people that said no, not just people that say yes. Right. And so I had this little download as you're talking about having just for us, and you guys can do this on your own as well, a referral contest. So literally reaching out as a way of contacting an old customer or a current customer or a friend or anyone on your list and saying, hey, Jackie, I'm looking for referrals. I'm reaching out to all my potential customers, friends. Every name that I get gets an entry for a fun prize. Like, I might even buy your products this month if you have the most referrals. Whether they buy or not is not important. I'm just looking to share with more people. So what do you say? Just one referral gets you in the drawing. So that little download from your referral talk has me spending about a new way to reach out to existing customers. Cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to open it up to questions, but what I think is so awesome, Ranchelle, that you did is that you brought some of the same information that several of our leaders have talked about, we've talked about, but with a fresh perspective and maybe a different way of thinking about it. I love that the realization that if you are not growing, you are not just staying still. You're going backwards. You're going. And I think sometimes we get a little too comfortable. I think January is a great time for everybody to get kind of riled up again and like, oh, I got some goals and this is what I'm going to do. But the realization that you can make this anything that you want. And then you said, you write your own story. And I think we too often let other people write our story from our past, from our own thought process of what we've experienced somewhere else, and we project it into this situation, and it can be so vastly different, and we hold the key, no one else does. So thank you. That was just really revelatory again for me to hear. So if you have a question, if you'll raise your hand or unmute yourself.
All right, we'll unmute Sherry here.
Hey.
Sans Corey, but that's okay. We still want to hear from
him. He's in bed. What would be like your top number 1, number 2 audiobooks or books that you have on mindset or leadership or anything that like jumps out at you that you could recommend?
That's a great question. So I like things that really tweak me. So I like Bob Proctor. He's actually a Canadian. He lives in the States now. He's been around for a very, very long time. But he has a very unique way of explaining mindset and how we are conscious and subconscious, and how we subconsciously, how we're creating our reality and how to create a new reality. So I love Bob Proctor as far as that perspective. I am always a huge fan of Tony Robbins. I have been for a very long time. I'm not sure if Sherry can get anything from him, but Tony talks about changing your state, and that's the writing your story. So certainly, I would always recommend Tony. I am currently reading a book called. Is it okay if I swear? Because there's actually a swear word.
That's fine. You're good.
Okay.
It's bad.
The subtle art of not giving a fuck. It's a new book. And the other one is how to be unfuckable. So I know, right? And so here's the great thing, though, that what I love about them is it talks about how we allow other people's perceptions, right, to monitor how we're going to.
Look, Andrea's got it right there.
Do you? Oh, yeah, thank you. Right, Andrea? Yeah, I love it. So I would recommend that. And then there's one more. I'm just looking to see if I have it.
Trila, honey.
We won't repeat it. It's not going to be on the recording.
Right.
And here's the thing. I've played hockey since I was 5, and Canadians, F is just an adjective. It's no big deal.
Yeah, right. Well, I know that's why I asked, right? And it's not my fault. And the other one that I just looked at was this, the secret language of influence. Let me grab that one.
Yeah, cool.
We'll stick with that one for Trila.
While we're waiting, while we're waiting on that book, we always want to recognize and honor our upline. So thankful that Rainey Anderson has joined us, our Diamond Upline. Rainey, do you have questions or you have things you want to share?
Well, first of all, I am blushing, so thank you all for calling me out on that. Ranchelle, thank you so much for your time. You're absolutely brilliant. You brought so much value and wisdom to the call tonight, and so we all just want to thank you so very much. Some of the things that I took away this evening was your statement of everyone loves to buy. I mean, how true is that? And if we can just turn our mindset around to, I'm going to make this reach out and I'm going to assume that the person I'm speaking to loves to buy. How much different would that conversation go if we enter, our reach out with that mindset? Additionally, I took away, and I don't know that you said this directly, but that practice, not perfection. So you just get in there and you start doing what you do. You reach out. You don't have to have it perfect to be able to reach out. And Erica, when we did your call earlier today, you absolutely, when you were teaching us about your customer page, that was absolutely what you were talking about today was, we just do it and we kind of perfect it along the way. And I can absolutely speak to my journey. And I know Phil and Jen, y'all as well, and Eric and Monique and everybody on this call, you can probably testify that we jumped in and we've done and we've learned along the way, and we weren't perfect. So, thank you for those words. Like Phil, I definitely took away the power of the referral. I built my business on referrals, 100% for sure. So many of the people that are on this team are a result of the referral. So don't be shy. Ask those questions because they absolutely lead to conversation, which leads to activity, which leads to awesome results. So thank you so much, Ranchelle. Your words tonight are so very much cherished, and we thank you. And as always, I cannot be on this call without acknowledging your amazing leaders, Jen and Phil. Thank y'all so much for pouring into us and this team and just always providing amazing content.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right, so any other questions?
I saw Andrea's question, and I knew that would be something that people would want. So, Ranchelle, if you're comfortable writing it out for us, that would be awesome. If not, I can go back and watch this recording, and we will.
Sure. I'll put it in the Facebook Messenger. How's that sound?
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I should give everyone my phone number. My phone number is 780-679-7275. Text me if you want to have a conversation, if it's okay with them and Phil, about overcoming objections, because that's a huge piece to be having conversation with somebody, right? And being comfortable and confident enough, and acknowledging their objection. If there's time, I'll give an example or sample of how that can happen. So
Thank you. And if you want, I'll share my number. It's 1-900. No, I'm not sharing my number.
Hot babe.
He's such a mess. Y'all, after spending some time with you, Ranchelle, I was like, if we ever were out with Bill, yeah, y'all would have too much fun. Danger. And I just want to sure. I know that Ranchelle, you gave your time to our team, that you wanted to do this for us, and we are so blessed to have this. But I also want to make sure to thank each and every one of you for being here, and take something that you learned tonight and pass it along. Don't just keep it for yourself and your own business. Share it with the sideline, share it with your downline, take it, make it your own, and then use it and activate it. Many people, Ranchelle does this for a living, y'all, so she gets paid big bucks for people to come and sit and listen and take notes all day in her 5-hour presentations. So you were given a gift tonight. Just be grateful, but then take it and use it. Don't just keep it for yourself, because a gift inside a box doesn't do anybody any good. We got to get it out there and share it.
Well said.
So, all right. Well, thank you again. Can't wait. I have gotten several messages. I will just say this to you, Ranchelle, with everyone listening. Wait a second. She's on our team. What? What's she doing? So at any point in time that you would like to get your Plexus business going, know that we are all here to support you 100%. And the benefits go without saying. I mean, It's amazing.